Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we really try to unpack critical information so you can be well-informed quickly and thoroughly. Today, we're embarking on what feels like a really crucial and, honestly, incredibly hopeful deep dive. We're looking into a forthcoming book. It's titled Rising Suns, Empowering Black Male Students for Academic Excellence, and it's by the renowned Dr. Cassondra Corbin-Thaddies.
Yeah, and our mission today, our goal for this deep dive is to really get a handle on the landscape, the challenges Black male students are facing, but more importantly, to pull out the powerful practical strategies the book offers, strategies for fostering their academic excellence. And we'll be really zeroing in on one approach the book highlights as particularly transformative, differentiated instruction. We want to explore how it can make just a profound difference for every student, but, especially for Black male students.
And you might be asking, why is this so vital right now? What's the urgency? Well, the book, it lays out some truly sobering statistics right from the start. They really underscore the need for this conversation. Imagine this, okay? In 2023, only 13%, just 13, of Black male fourth graders were proficient in reading. Now compare that to 45% of their white male peers. Big difference, and it gets worse. By 8th grade, that proficiency for Black male students, it drops even further, down to a mere 10%.
10%, that's incredibly low.
It is. And in math, it's a similar, really stark picture. Just 14% of Black male fourth graders achieve proficiency. And maybe the most startling statistic for me, in 2022, a shockingly low 4%. 4 of all students who took an AP exam were Black males.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as the book points out, these aren't just abstract figures on a page, right? These are real kids, real young men with just boundless potential who are clearly being underserved by the current system. And Dr. Corbin-Thaddies, she doesn't really mince words about this. Right out of the gate, she makes this powerful statement. It's kind of the book's guiding principle. The problem isn't with the students. It's with a system that's failing them.
That's such a crucial distinction, isn't it? It completely shifts the perspective.
Exactly. It moves the focus away from blaming the students, looking for deficits in them, and puts it squarely on the systemic barriers, the overlooked opportunities that shape their educational journey.
Right. And the book really digs into how a system fails students, because that's the key question. And often it's through these pervasive, almost invisible stereotypes and biases, things that subtly, or sometimes, not so subtly, shape how these students are perceived and treated.
Can you give some examples? What kind of biases are we talking about?
Sure. Well, the book mentions things like the angry Black male stereotype. You see this where a Black boy's assertiveness, maybe his natural curiosity, or even just high energy gets mislabeled as aggression. And that can lead to disproportionate disciplinary actions, suspensions, expulsions, sometimes starting as early as preschool, believe it or not.
Preschool, that's staggering.
It is. And then there's the athletic over academic bias, this sort of subtle, or again, maybe not so subtle, pressure or expectation that steers Black boys towards sports.
Right, like that's their only path.
Exactly. And away from maybe challenging STEM fields or the humanities or other areas where their intellectual curiosity could really flourish.
Sin limits their horizons before they even explore them.
Precisely. Or think about the damage done by the lower expectations bias. This is where educators, often unconsciously, just expect less from Black male students academically.
And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, I imagine.
Tragically, yes. It undermines a student's confidence, their belief in their own ability, sometimes before they've even had a real chance to prove themselves. And then you have these harmful myths like the lack of parental involvement idea.
Oh, I've heard that one.
Right. And it completely overlooks the reality for so many Black families. The deep commitment parents have, often juggling multiple jobs, facing immense pressures, just trying to support their kids' education against the odds.
It's really sobering to hear those laid out so clearly. You think about the cumulative weight of those perceptions on a young person who's just trying to learn, trying to grow. And the book mentions something about behaviors being criminalized.
Yes, that's a really critical point. Behaviors that might be seen as, youthful exuberance or just typical kid energy in other students.
Yeah, like fidgeting or talking out of turn.
Exactly. Those same behaviors, when exhibited by Black boys, are far too often interpreted through a lens of threat or defiance. They get criminalized. And this directly fuels that deeply concerning trend we call the school-to-prison pipeline.
Where minor disciplinary issues escalate.
Right. They push students, particularly Black male students, out of the classroom, away from opportunity, and tragically, sometimes towards the juvenile justice system.
So all these biases, these stereotypes, these myths, how do they connect to the bigger picture of education?
Well, What the book really unpacks, and does so meticulously, is how all these factors contribute to this broader, pervasive issue. The system's reliance on a one-size-fits-all approach to teaching and learning,
The standard model.
the standard model. And it fundamentally cannot account for the diverse strengths, the unique learning styles, the rich lived experiences that Black male students bring to the classroom. So when lessons inevitably fail to resonate, when the curriculum feels alien or just irrelevant to their lives,
This engagement is almost guaranteed.
it's the natural outcome. And that leads to underperformance, frustration, and sadly, just countless missed opportunities for these students to shine.
The book uses an example, right? Marcus.
Yes, Marcus's story is a perfect illustration of this exact problem. Here's a student, clearly bright, but he consistently struggled with the traditional, lecture-based lessons. Stand and deliver.
It didn't work for him.
Didn't click. But then his teacher did something different. She made a crucial shift. She introduced a project-based learning activity, and the key was it tied abstract math concepts to real-world scenarios. Things he could actually connect with, like budgeting for a community garden project or planning a local event.
Okay, so making it relevant.
Making it relevant, and the result? Marcus's engagement just skyrocketed. He wasn't just passively receiving math, he was using it, applying it, seeing its value. And suddenly, his potential, which was there all along, finally had the space to, breathe and grow. It's such a vivid example of how a rigid system can actually hold kids back.
So if that rigid one-size-fits-all approach is the core problem, what's the solution the book champions? What's the answer?
Okay, so that brings us right to the heart of the book's argument. Differentiated instruction. And Dr. Corbin-Thaddies doesn't just call it a teaching strategy, she frames it as a truly transformative approach, one that fundamentally rejects that whole one-size-fits-all model.
So it's more than just tweaking lesson plans.
Much more. It's about actively embracing and really celebrating the inherent diversity you find in every classroom, the unique strength, the different interests, the varied lived experiences of every single student. It's about creating an environment that fosters a really profound sense of belonging and empowerment. And this is especially crucial for Black male students and other groups who've been historically excluded or marginalized.
Belonging and empowerment. Those are powerful words.
They are. It's fundamentally about meeting each student exactly where they are, understanding their starting point, and then guiding them effectively to where they need to be, but in a way that feels authentic to them.
Okay, so let's make this practical. If you're listening, maybe you're an educator, a parent, a mentor, maybe just someone invested in kids' success. What does a differentiated classroom actually offer the student?
Great question. The book breaks it down clearly. First, it allows students to genuinely discover their strengths and build real, authentic confidence. Maybe a student shines in the arts, or maybe their strength is logical reasoning or complex problem solving. Differentiation helps uncover and nurture that brilliance, whatever form it takes.
Instead of just focusing on weaknesses.
Exactly. It flips the script. And second, learning becomes deeply personalized. It feels meaningful to the student because their educational journey is tailored, at least in part, to their individual goals and interests.
So it connects to them.
Right. It makes every lesson feel more relevant. And this isn't just about making school, fun. It's about making it fundamentally more effective and engaging.
And the book talks about culturally relevant content too, right? How does that fit in?
Ah, yes, that's crucial. And the book emphasizes this is vital for all students, but it holds particular power for Black male students. What this means is designing curriculum and using materials that authentically reflect their identity, their community, their history, their lived experiences.
So they see themselves in the learning.
Precisely. It makes the learning deeply resonate. It fosters a sense of pride, connection, validation. It's about seeing themselves, their history, and importantly, their future reflected positively in what they're learning each day.
That makes so much sense. And what else? What other benefits for the student?
Well, as students engage with this personalized, relevant content, they also naturally develop independence and critical thinking skills. They're not just sitting there passively receiving information. They're actively tackling open-ended tasks, often ones connected to real-world problems or situations.
More active learning.
Definitely. And the book also highlights how differentiation naturally fosters collaboration. Think group projects, peer teaching. It creates opportunities for students to lead, to learn from each other, to articulate their own understanding, which deepens it. It builds those essential social and leadership skills, too.
Okay, so it sounds great in theory, but how does a teacher actually do this? The book gives concrete examples, right?
Absolutely. It's very practical. For instance, it talks about differentiation by group. And the key insight here, it's not just about, randomly mixing kids up. It's about actively countering those fixed labels that often get placed on students, especially Black male students.
Right, avoiding putting kids in boxes.
Exactly. This kind of dynamic grouping ensures they're never just pigeonholed by perceived deficits. Instead, they're constantly being positioned to leverage their diverse strengths. This fosters both targeted growth where needed, but also opportunities for powerful peer leadership. It's genuinely about seeing potential, not just problems.
So what might that look like? Different kinds of groups.
Yeah, the book outlines flexible grouping strategies. Students might be dynamically grouped based on their current need in a specific skill, or maybe by shared interest for a project, or even by a particular strength they can share. So you might have temporary ability groups for targeted instruction in, say, math. Some students work on foundational concepts while others tackle more advanced problem solving on the same topic. Or you could have mixed ability groups set up for peer teaching activities, where students learn by explaining concepts to each other and supporting their classmates.
That makes a lot of sense. It feels like the book is saying learning isn't just about what you learn, but really how it's delivered, how it's received, and importantly, how it allows a student to connect. And what about other strategies? You mentioned grouping.
Right. The book also dives into differentiation by skill set. So imagine an English class. Instead of one assignment for everyone, the teacher might offer tiered assignments. Everyone works on the same core concept, maybe analyzing theme, but the tasks have different levels of complexity or require different depths of analysis.
So everyone's challenged appropriately.
Exactly. Or you could use learning stations, where each station focuses on a specific skill vocabulary building at one, persuasive writing techniques at another, analyzing syntax at a third. Students rotate through based on their needs. It ensures every student is getting challenged right at their edge, whether they need foundational support or are ready for more advanced critical thinking.
And then there's differentiation by interest, which sounds really engaging.
Oh, it's incredibly powerful for engagement. This is where you tap into what students are genuinely curious about. So in a social studies class, maybe one student is fascinated by global environmental policies and gets to research that, while another is passionate about entrepreneurship in Black communities and explores that history.
Getting them choice.
Yes, using things like choice boards or passion projects or inquiry-based learning where they get to pose their own questions, it really ignites their curiosity and makes learning feel like an act of self-discovery, not just, schoolwork compliance.
Absolutely. And I find this next one really exciting, multimodal strategies. Can you explain that?
Sure. This is simply about presenting content and allowing students to demonstrate understanding in varied formats, not just lectures and essays. Think videos, hands-on experiments, building models, interactive simulations, debates, creating podcasts, artistic expressions. The list goes on.
So catering to different learning styles.
Precisely. It allows students to choose how they learn best. A student who struggles with purely auditory learning might thrive with visual aids or a diagram. A kinesthetic learner might deeply grasp a scientific concept by actually building something. It makes learning accessible to everyone.
And the book mentions a couple more, readiness and pace.
Yes, briefly. Differentiation by readiness often involves using pre-assessments not for grades, but to gauge what students already know about a topic before you start teaching. That way, you can tailor the instruction right from the beginning.
So you don't waste time or bore kids.
Exactly. And differentiation by learning pace. This might involve using self-paced online learning modules or allowing students different amounts of time to master a concept. It ensures students are always moving forward in a way that truly works for them, preventing that frustration of being left behind or the boredom of waiting for others to catch up. It's really this constant intentional adaptation to the diverse needs in the room that profoundly transforms the whole learning experience.
And the book connects this back to specific student stories, right?
Yeah.
Like Miss Johnson and Melick.
Yes, that's such a powerful example in the book. Mrs. Johnson noticed Malik, who she knew was a bright Black male student, becoming more and more disengaged in her class, slipping away. Now, the default reaction might have been disciplinary, but instead, Miss Johnson took the time to dig deeper to connect with him, and she discovered Malik had this profound love for music.
Okay, so she found his hook.
She found his hook, and then she ingeniously started incorporating his passion into her lessons. She taught poetry by having students analyze song lyrics. She explained complex math concepts using rhythm and beat patterns.
Yeah, that's creative.
Isn't it? And it was transformative for Malik. This simple yet powerful act did a few things. It validated his background, his interests. It made the learning deeply relevant to his world. And it completely reignited his academic spark. It shows exactly how differentiation isn't just about techniques, it's about building relationships and creating that supportive, inclusive, truly empowering environment. An environment where every student, and particularly Black male students who might feel alienated, feels seen, feels valued, and feels capable of excelling.
Okay, this is already incredibly insightful, but here's where, for me, it gets really interesting, maybe even a bit futuristic. The book makes a compelling case for how technology can, like, turbocharge differentiation.
Oh, absolutely. Technology opens up so many possibilities here. We're talking about tools like adaptive learning platforms, software that adjusts the difficulty in content based on how a student is doing in real time.
Personalized learning paths.
Exactly. And AI-powered resources that can provide instant feedback, suggest specific practice exercises, or point students towards information tailored exactly to their needs and pace. It's like having a personalized tutor available 24/7.
And how does this specifically benefit Black male students, according to the book?
Well, the book argues that technology can be a really powerful equalizer for them. It shifts the dynamic. Instead of just passively consuming content, technology empowers them to become creators, designers, innovators, problem solvers in the tech space itself.
Moving from consumer to creator.
Precisely. Imagine students learning coding not just abstractly, but by designing an app to address a real challenge in their own community, like tracking local food deserts maybe, or creating a platform for neighborhood skill sharing. Or learning robotics by building a device to assist with community cleanups or help elderly neighbors.
That sounds incredibly empowering.
It is, and this approach does a couple of things simultaneously. One, it directly combats those limiting stereotypes about where Black boys belong or what they're capable of. Two, it fosters entrepreneurial thinking and practical skills. And third, it powerfully connects students with potential careers and even professionals in STEM fields who can serve as visible, inspiring role models.
That connection is so important. Now, shifting gears slightly, the book also talks about literacy and numeracy. How does differentiation apply there?
Yeah, and it frames these skills, reading, writing, math, not just as academic requirements, but as fundamental tools for empowerment, for leadership, for advocacy.
Tools for change.
Exactly. So the book encourages connecting these core skills directly to cultural identity and community engagement, make them relevant and purposeful. For example, maybe students read narratives of successful Black entrepreneurs past and present. Then they apply numeracy skills to develop a mock business plan for a social enterprise that could benefit their own community.
So applying skills to real-world contexts they care about.
Right. Or another example, using data analysis skills numeracy, again, to researching equities in local school funding or access to resources, and then using literacy skills writing, presenting to advocate for change based on that data.
That's fostering critical literacy, isn't it?
That's exactly the term the book uses. It's empowering students not just to consume information passively, but to actively question dominant narratives, analyze complex data critically, and become informed, effective advocates for positive change in their own communities. These are the skills that build true leaders.
It's clear this vision goes way beyond just one teacher in one classroom, though. How does the book talk about scaling this up, making it last?
That's a crucial point. The book emphasizes that sustaining and scaling this kind of success requires broader, more systemic efforts. It's not enough for individual teachers to be heroes. It involves things like rigorous, data-driven decision-making at the school and district level, using data not punitively, but to genuinely track progress, identify areas where students need more support, pinpoint effective strategies, and, importantly, celebrate successes.
Using data for improvement.
For continuous improvement. It also demands truly generative professional development for educators. Not just sit and get workshops, but experiences where teachers themselves engage in differentiated collaborative learning, where they constantly grow their skills and understanding rather than just passively receiving information about new techniques.
Teachers need to experience it too.
Exactly. And critically, the book calls for building strong networks. Networks of schools, community organizations, higher education institutions, businesses, all committed collaboratively to the holistic success of Black male students. It requires a unified vision, a shared commitment across the entire educational landscape for profound, transformative impact.
The whole ecosystem approach.
Precisely.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the main takeaway? What should someone listening really hold on to from Dr. Corbin-Thaddies' work?
I think the core message is crystal clear. Differentiated instruction isn't just another educational buzzword. It's a powerful, equitable, and frankly necessary approach. It's an approach that unlocks the full, often untapped potential within every single student, but it holds particular promise for Black male students who have too often been marginalized or misunderstood by traditional systems. It really boils down to a fundamental commitment. A commitment to truly valuing and actively nurturing the individual strengths, the unique interests, and the rich cultural identities that every student brings.
Valuing the individual.
Yes. And this raises, I think, an important question for all of us listening, whether you're an educator, a parent, a community leader, a mentor, or just someone who cares about kids. When we truly consider the immense, incredible potential residing in every single Black male student, how can we, in our own spheres of influence, however big or small, actively champion these practices? How can we advocate for differentiation with unwavering belief and real commitment?
It's definitely about shifting perspective, isn't it? Envisioning a future where every Black male student isn't just surviving school, but truly thriving. Excelling academically, yes, but also becoming a leader, an innovator, a change maker, becoming a cornerstone of progress, really, in shaping our collective future. Dr. Corbin-Thaddies' work, as you've laid it out, it reminds us that this isn't just some far-off dream. It's a tangible reality. It's achievable through these intentional, student-centered, culturally responsive practices. So the final thought maybe for you, the listener, is this. How can you apply these principles, differentiation, cultural relevance, tailored support in your world? In your classroom, your home, your community programs, your mentoring relationships? How can you help ensure that every young Black man in your life, or in your community's life, finds his place in the sun, fully equipped and empowered to lead, to innovate, and to inspire profound change?